All right, this is Dr. Buford. We're just getting started on the right shoulder. We're looking in from the back to the front. Everything that you see is magnified 30 or 40 times on the screen. And hold the shaver. Just reach under, hold the shaver for a minute. I'm going to move this switching stick back. We're going to place our camera there a little bit later. But right now we're just having our first look around. I just wanted to show you what we're dealing with here. We've got a lot of arthritis. We're going to start here. Here's the biceps tendon. And the biceps is intact, although it's a little bit frayed, and then down at the base, it's loose, which goes along with all these years of instability you've been dealing with. And so where my shaver is right now is right where the biceps tendon needs to be securely attached to the superior glenoid. And just very quickly, I can remove a little bit of cartilage here because we're actually going to try and use this to help make the shoulder a little bit more stable, a little bit stiffer, by anchoring this biceps back down. So you can see the exposed bone looks kind of yellow. See that? And so that's all we've done. We have to do that to get that biceps anchor to heal. We have to remove some of that white cartilage. Okay, so I just want to show you next the rotator cuff. We'll look up here, and your rotator cuff looks great, right? So no problems there. A lot of times when there's a lot of ongoing instability, the rotator cuff becomes less flexible and will tear, but you haven't torn yours, it doesn't look like. I'm going to pull back a little bit. And again, right now we're still in kind of our exploratory phase here. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know if I can save that biceps. I'd sure like to, but the more we look at it, the more it's pretty beat up there. We'll make that decision a little bit later. As far as the glenoid, as we rotate the camera and look down the front of the glenoid, we can see what happens when your shoulder dislocates that much. Here's the anterior edge of the glenoid. Looks kind of like a cliff because we've lost kind of the front edge of the socket here. And now we're going to rotate and look towards the back of the shoulder. And here's a big Hill-Sachs lesion in the back. Doesn't fully slip over the edge anteriorly though. So we're going to go ahead and put the scope in the front and have a look from the front to the back. Okay, so now we're looking from the front to the back. That shaver's coming through the back of your shoulder. And this gives us our first really good look at this Hill-Sachs lesion. So we can see the back of the ball here is has a big defect in it. Let me see. There we go. And we're going to be placing a suture anchor right there. Here's the anterior shoulder. We're going to be working on that obviously a little bit later, but we'll place those anchors after we start the repair in the back. Come on. Okay, I wanted to show you where we're at here. We've placed 2 anchors and a total of 5 sutures all through back here in a very specific pattern to try and anchor this down. You had what we call a reverse Hagel lesion, which means that the capsule was actually torn at the top of the screen here. The capsule was torn off the humeral head. So we're going to fix that too, and that's why we had to do a little bit of extra work. So now we're going to look in the front of the shoulder. We're going to take a liberator or a rasp liberator combo and work on this anterior labrum I actually think you haven't lost a whole lot of bone in the front. It's thin, but the labrum is still here. So we'll get to work here. We'll show you some more in a little bit. You can see how the labrum just lifts right off here. And we'll just follow this all the way down to the bottom of the shoulder. Okay, so here's our first anterior anchor. We're going to reach in here and take one of the sutures out the back. Just like that. And now we're going to take our turn to the right suture hook and start passing some sutures through this anterior capsule here. Okay, so here's our suture hook. It's what we call a turn to the right. It's a 45-degree hook. We'd like to see that tip come out right there, so that's where we start. We rotate here. We're going to go a little bit inferior. And there we are right there. So I'm happy with that, but we'll pass that and show you some more in a minute. Okay, so we've got 3 anchors in the front. We've got the front repaired. We haven't tied the posterior sutures yet. We're going to, but we haven't yet on purpose. And now we're going to put the scope in the back and have a look at the biceps anchor. Okay, we've got 1 anchor down to hold down the labrum right at the biceps anchor, so that's technically a slap repair. There's the biceps as it exits the shoulder. Okay. And that looks okay there. We have not yet tied all of these remplissage sutures, so we're going to do that next. We're going to put the scope in the front. Okay, here's what it looks like after we've tied all the remplissage sutures. You can't even see them. And so I'm very happy with the way that looks. There's a little portal here. We put in a small cannula here, so I'm going to leave that alone. Sometimes we close this if the primary direction of instability is posterior, but I don't think we have to do that here today. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm very happy with it. You can just get a hint of our last suture there, but that looks very good. We've got our anterior Bankart done. Obviously, you've got this arthritis that hopefully we'll be able to manage if it causes any symptoms. But I think we're done. We're going to go ahead and pull out that last suture because we don't need it, and we're going to finish up and get you back to the recovery room. Good luck to you now. Bye-bye.